Getting some breaking news. In a move that's raising eyebrows, the BJP has hosted a delegation of the Communist Party of China at its headquarters in New Delhi. The delegation, led by Chinese Vice Minister Sun Haiyan, held detailed talks with BJP leaders, the first major political outreach since the deadly Galwan Valley clashes. The meeting comes even as India-China ties remain strained and Beijing continues to assert territorial claims. Is this strategic engagement or mixed messaging is the question. With soldiers still facing off on the LAC, the big question is this the time for BJP-China bye-bye? So BJP hosted a delegation of the Communist Party of China at its headquarters in the national capital that has now raised eyebrows. The delegation, led by Chinese Vice Minister Sun Haiyan, held detailed talks with the BJP leaders. As you can see in these visuals, these visuals are from the meeting between the Chinese delegation, which was held at the BJP headquarters. They met with the BJP leaders, and this is the first major political outreach since the deadly Galwan Valley clashes. The meeting comes even as India-China ties remain strained and Beijing, meanwhile, continues to assert territorial claims. Now, if this was a strategic engagement or this is a mixed messaging is what remains to be seen. But with soldiers still facing off at the LAC, the big question is this the time for BJP-China bye-bye? So these are the visuals from the meeting between the Chinese delegation with the BJP leaders. This meeting was held at the BJP headquarters in the national capital. Now, this meeting has now raised eyebrows that the Chinese delegation was in fact hosted by the BJP at the headquarters in the national capital. The delegation was led by Chinese Vice Minister Sun Haiyan, and it also held detailed talks with the BJP leaders. My colleague Geeta Mohan is now joining us with more details on this. Geeta, this meeting between the BJP leaders and the Chinese delegation, and the BJP hosting this Chinese delegation in the national capital amid the tensions at the LAC is now raising many questions. What is the message that is being sent out with these visuals and this meeting?
That's right. There will be a lot of questions, but it's not the first time that we're looking at political level meetings between two parties. But yes, it is going to draw a lot of attention given the fact that the same questions were raised with regards to Congress engaging CPC and the embassy. Over here, a meeting has taken place, but this also comes at a time when there is going to be the next level of SR level talks between Ajit Doval and his counterpart in Beijing. And around that time, we are looking at an outreach. But this also comes at a time when nothing has really completely resolved at the border. And when I say resolved at the border, I don't mean the old disputes between India and China. I mean the recent dispute between India and China, where China is yet to move or push back. So there are a lot of concerns. I'm sure there will be a lot of reaction when it comes to a meeting between the BJP and the CPC. But then again, for the Bharatiya Janata Party and the government, it is to explain whether if this outreach and engagement helps in resolving the border in any way.
All right, Geeta, do stay with us. So we're showing you the visuals of the Galwan clashes, and on one hand, these are the visuals of the Galwan clashes, and on the other hand, you can see the BJP hosting the Chinese delegation. So in 2020, since 2020, there have been the ties between the two countries have been strained. There have been tensions along the LAC, and in June 2020 is when the Galwan clashes happened. And currently, we're seeing the visuals of the meeting between the BJP leaders and the Chinese delegation, and the Chinese delegation were hosted by the BJP leaders at the BJP headquarters in the national capital, raising a lot of questions. Geeta Mohan continues to stay with us. Geeta, do we have information on what all was discussed in this meeting with the Chinese delegation?
The only details that are emerging are from the BJP National Secretary's handle itself, where he said that during the meeting they discussed ways to enhance communication and interaction between the two political parties. Now, we have asked and sought details from the Chinese embassy as well, but there isn't a readout as of now on what really transpired and what kind of enhancing of engagement and interaction and communication would this be when, on the one hand, we still have border issues. We are still told to limit our engagement with China. And yet, on the other hand, there is an outreach where they're saying that there is going to be enhancement of communication and interaction between the two political parties.
Right, and how can India ensure that these engagements do not dilute or replace India's original stance and the diplomatic channels?
Sorry, could you please repeat your question?
How can India ensure that these political or ceremonial engagements with China do not replace or dilute the diplomatic channels?
So that really does not happen. It does not really have to do with the fact that there's going to be any disruption or influence or lesser influence in the diplomatic conversations that the two countries are having. But the fact of the matter is that at this point in time, it is very important to see how the party and the government is going to explain an engagement at a time when Galwan and the post-Galwan conversations are still underway.
Geeta, do you think that this will give fresh ammunition to the opposition parties as well, which will be targeting the BJP because amid the tensions at the LAC, the BJP hosted the Chinese delegation?
I'm sorry, your voice is breaking. Could you please repeat the question?
Geeta, do you think that this meeting, BJP hosting the Chinese delegation, will also give fresh ammunition to the opposition, with the opposition attacking the BJP amid the tensions they are hosting the Chinese delegation?
Well, absolutely. This certainly is going to have some sort of an impact in terms of how the opposition reacts to a meeting between the two political parties. But then again, it has to be a decision on outreach and to what level. So we'll have to wait and hear from the party, that is the BJP, as also the government, as to whether this level of engagement is required at this point in time when our SR level talks are going to be underway. This is of the many rounds of talks that the two sides have had, one more round of talk, but then there were military level talks also just not so long ago, and diplomatic channels are open. So in such a scenario, the explanation that would be sought is whether it's an engagement when everyone else is asked not to increase engagement with China, whether this engagement between the two political parties is essential.
All right, Geeta, do stay with us.